Hey, Adventure Girls, it's Senka here, creator of Adventure Girls and the Why She Adventures interview conversation series. And I am so honored and so proud to have this woman. It actually almost makes me want to cry. I'm actually so honored to have this woman on today's conversation series. She has grown up with some actual physical challenges. And she's used the feedback that people have given her to really push her forward and to excel beyond measure in her sport. So I would like to introduce world Waka Ama champion, amazing mum of two cute as kids, and my beautiful sister, Vesna Radonich. Hey sis, how you doing?
Yo, kia ora, how are you?
Ka pai. And we've got, who else have we got with you today?
Say again, sorry?
Who else is with you today?
So we have here, this is Tipu. She's already got herself 4 world silver medals. And I've got my son over here. The last time we did a talk, he was her size.
Hey, Raweda, how are you, my man? Wow.
These are our 2 babies.
No.
Well, he's not a baby. He was the last time we did this interview.
Yeah, so it would have been, what, 5 or so years ago that Vesna and I was doing another series of inspiring women. And it was just that. Raweda was the same size as Tipu is, and I've got the video, and I saw that the other day, and it just reminded me just about how awesome it is that you've got your kids on your call with you, because I think they're such a big part of you, and I know personally that they're a massive driver for why you do what you do, not just in your sport, your community, and your business. So for anybody who's watching this and they're like, what the hell is Waka Ama? Do you want to explain a little bit about that sport?
Ama is a water sport. It's been around.
Bless you.
That's how we came to New Zealand. Waka was used for the Māori to transport themselves from island to island or mutu to mutu. There were some great voyages that came out of that, and then of course once they landed they needed a more smaller functional waka, so they made it smaller and it goes on the water. It's got a hull, and then nowadays they actually put 2 pieces of wood across and an ama as a balancing agent, and that's how it gets its name of Waka Ama. So they used it for war. They used it for recreational, they used it for fishing, transporting, travelling. And then about 35 years ago, someone went to Tahiti, Matahi right whale, and he saw that the Tahitians created a sport from it and brought that back to New Zealand. So now it is probably the #1 participator sport. It's now in the Paralympics. It is in probably over 30 countries, places like Hong Kong, Japan, South America, Brazil, as well, of course, the islands here. So that's Waka Ama.
Wow. And so how long, when did you get, when and how did you end up getting into Waka Ama? Because I know there's a bit of a story of how that all came about. So
yeah, so Waka is a Māori sport, but I never learned in New Zealand. I actually didn't even know it existed till I went to Sydney, Australia, and I lived in Manly. I'd been doing dragon boating, and the chick at the gym said, hey, come and check out this sport, you'll like it more than dragon boating. I turned up, and it's a vessel. It's like I said, it's got a hull, and it sits 6 people, 2 pieces of wood, and an ama. And I was like, oh, I can't wear my hearing aid on the water. So I said to the coach, hey coach, I'd like to give it a go, but I can't wear my hearing aid. She said, no worries, we'll make it work. Okay, we'll make you the caller. And I'm like, what's the caller? And they said, well, what we do is we paddle on alternate sides, and every 10 to 12 strokes, you call a hut, and that's where we do one stroke and we change over. And I was like, sweet, I can do it. And I fell in love with it. And the reason is because growing up as a kid with a hearing loss, you get bullied, picked on, you're told you're dumb, they're silly, I found it really hard to participate in team sports because I couldn't wear them. For example, with netball, someone would want to throw the ball to me and they'd usually say your name, but obviously I can't hear. Basketball, I gave it a little go, and I played a defense role, but they relied a lot on voice. So this was the first sport that someone didn't have my hearing disability stop me from participating. So I pretty much fell in love with it there, and 20 years later, I'm doing it as a business. Oh,
wow, 20 years!
Was along the way as well.
Yeah, that is incredible. I knew that it had been a big part of your life. Like, I thought it was around the 15 years, but it's really similar to how long I've had mountain biking in my life. It's been that constant thing. Now, you just touched on, because I didn't say specifically what your impairment was, you just touched on it through that conversation. So do you want to let people know what your impairment is?
It's a hearing loss. So I was born with 50% hearing in both ears. That actually wasn't discovered till I was about almost 5 years old. I was diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, and I was just considered a problem child. But you know what the random thing is? Mum said that I used to go to kindy at 2 years old, and my little mates would tap me on my shoulder to get me to turn around to look at them so that I could lip read what they were saying. So you got here the professionals say, no, she's a problem child. Got these little kiddies that can pick it up. So hearing test after hearing test, then Mum couldn't work out why it was happening. So she said, I'm going to sit in the next time. So back then, do you remember when they used to make a sound, they give you a bead, and if you heard the sound, you had to put the bead into this little board? Well, what does Vesna do? Oh, bead, board. Put as many beads in as I can. And the nurse had to hold my hand and stop me. She's like, no, you only put it in when you hear. So the nurse would hold my hand, make a beep sound, let go of my hand, and I put the bead in. Make a sound, let go of my hand, I put the bead in. They said, no, her hearing's fine. Mum said, no, she's not reacting to the sound, she's reacting to you letting go of her hand so she can put the bead in. Do it again. Mum did, and I'm so grateful that Mum was persistent because they did come back and I did have a hearing loss. So I was blessed with my first set of hearing aids at about 4.5, and I went to the toilet and I screamed and Mum came rushing in and she's like, what's wrong? And I just had not heard so many sounds before, and I freaked out from the toilet sound. So it's one thing I have never blamed my parents for having. I have accepted it. I think the toughest thing is being a kid and the amount of bullying that you take on. So I became a bully at a young age to defend myself because of people saying that deaf people are dumb and stupid. But I got a pretty big hiding at about the age of 8 from a boy, so that kind of went out the window. But high school was pretty hard. Bullying was there. It's just there. We're so fortunate nowadays with the amount of support and encouragement of having glasses or hearing or a physical impairment. It's not, you are not hindered upon nowadays. You are supported and encouraged to develop as a person. So I didn't have that back then, but I never regret my hearing loss because it shaped me to the person I am today. It's given me wicked resilience to be able to focus when I'm training. It's giving me coping mechanisms for when things in life are challenging to cope through it. I've had the mental health journey along that way, and honestly, I never regret any of it. I'm not ashamed of my mental health. I'm not ashamed of my hearing loss. If people don't like it, KTP here, that's fine. But I share it to give others hope, because there's still the stigma and the fear that is there. And that's why I use my success in my sport to create a lot more awareness of that, and to make it real and make people realise that, hey, you can go through stuff in life and you can still do what you do, and for people to see that I'm real, and that, yeah, it's just cool just to be able to give people hope, make them smile and go, well, Vesna's been through this, and if she has, so well, she can, I can.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I think, you know, the world needs more leaders, like people who have gone through stuff, everyday people who go through everyday stuff. Yep. No, that's okay. I'm sure anyone who's watching this will totally understand that's a mum, that 2 kids to look after at this time, they're completely fine with any interruption. So I'm sure he'll pop his head in and all of that. Everyone will be fine with it. Yeah, that the world needs more leaders to show people out there, whatever your background, whatever your challenge, whatever your either internal obstacle, like your mindset, or your external obstacles, like a hearing loss, like to show people that you can do things. And it's like, it's not that you have to be a world champion at what you do, but if you wear hearing aids and you want to get on the water and do stuff, you can. So it's like your proof and evidence to everybody out there who's doubting themselves that they can do this thing, that you can. So I think that's amazing what you do. Now, I know that you've had some challenges along the way that have really shaped and driven you. You're right there, Rawera.
Rawera, we can hear you. I can't hear your auntie, and I can't hear your auntie. Please.
That's all cool, sis. So I know that you've had some big challenges as you've gone through your Waka Ama journey into getting to where you were, because I know for a fact that there was a real pivotal time for you where you actually quit the sport that you really love. Like, you were just like, I can't, I'm out, because there was a really massive external factor on that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that was when my mental health was really not in a good place. I was quite unwell. I just moved back to New Zealand. I've always been a little bit low self-confident. I've been living overseas and been promoting the sport. I found when I was living overseas, there was a lot more freedom and people would just live their lives. When I came back to New Zealand, I found that all of a sudden you had to be a certain way, and opinions of me, people were popping more, and I was like, where's this all coming from? I felt sucked in, like I had to be a certain way. You couldn't do this, then you shouldn't do that. Whereas living overseas, it was about living life to the best that you could and live it to the fullest. So my mental well-being and my spirit became put down sometimes by people, and it began to shut away, because it was almost like I couldn't be the person I was. I felt like I'd been pushed to be structured in a certain way, and and then I had someone telling me that the way I was training was not correct, and that should be this way and it should be that way. But what was weird was I'd come from a sport in Australia where we had gym training, we had land training, we had monthly assessment, we always had benchmarks, and we were performing really well, and we were taking it out in Australia. And then coming back to New Zealand, I was getting told that all their training tools were not a requirement, that you should be paddling and you should do this and do that. And my paddling sunk, and I couldn't understand, but we weren't winning anything and we weren't getting really anywhere. And I was just like, maybe she knows, yep, I'll be patient. And then it just got to a point where one day she just was like, well, you don't listen, you're going to be a nobody, you're not going to get anywhere. And I thought, fine, you're right. So I just gave up paddling right there and then. I just lost it. I didn't know my left from my right hand, and I was like, fine. So I just got rid of everything. I don't want to paddle anymore. I hated it.
How was that for you? Because I can't imagine wanting to walk away from like getting to a point that I just don't want to mountain bike. I mean, I'm not an athlete at it, but mountain biking is my one constant thing that's always been in my life for adventure. Like I love it, and I can't imagine getting to a point where I'm just like, this sucks, I freaking hate it, I'm out of here. Like,
it's freaking cruel that people can freaking just say the cruelest shit and pull you down and really impact on your decisions in your life. A freaking oath, man, it's shit. And people who do that, and you know that you are probably one of those people watching them, stop it, because it's damn cruel. And I guess it's hitting my heart a bit, because I'm now doing this for people as well. I've got people coming to me who have just been told they're worthless and they're not listening, and they've really lost the passion in the sport because of what comes out of people's mouths. And it's quite sick, and it sucks, and it's shit. So, yeah, if you're one of those people and you're watching it, stop it. If you're one of those people that have it happening to you, just get out of it. Just park it to one side. Turn your hearing aid off. I should have turned my hearing aid off, and just continue doing what you love, but change your environment. If you are not able to change your mind at that time because you feel vulnerable, go change your environment. And that might mean changing the club. It might mean just doing something slightly different that's going to remove the very people or the environment that are impacting negatively on you participating on that sport.
It's such a valid point, sis. Like, I think we can for so long tolerate stuff that doesn't serve us. And there is, like you say, there's so many ways that you can change it. And I love that you point out that you can do that really practically with your environment, because what we're around, whether it's a physical environment or people environment, a little monkey, whether it's a physical environment or people that we're around, that stuff has such an influence and an impact on our lives. So like what I'm hearing is like, like when stuff like that's coming up, and what, like, not just in your sport or the adventure or life, whatever those areas, that when things aren't showing up the way that you want them, like you're not feeling good about yourself, or it's not happening for you the way that it is, that we can, like, there's so many things we can do to change that. And the people around us and who we have as our, you know, our first sphere of people, that's so vitally important. You all right? Do you need to sort them out? This is what happens when you interview a mum. So for any of you ladies that are watching this interview, you can see, it's okay, sis.
No, I could smell something, and he'd gone and put this grill thing on the oven and turned it on. Son,
Yeah.
no. Son, please, wait for Mum, please.
Soon, Raweda. Yep. Welcome to the world of motherhood, and I'm sure anyone who's watching this interview totally gets it. But just on that point, it's like we totally have the opportunity to change our environment, to make a choice, to make that better, to change that up, and to do things differently. Something's clearly happened. What's happened, sis?
Yeah, it's all right. He was wanting to use the George Foreman grill because he wanted to create the. Can we share that with him? He wanted to create the grill effect.
Oh, clever cookie.
He really liked to do things on his own. He was very
There you do. You're like your mum. You're super independent.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay, sis. I know anybody watching this will totally get it. Yeah, so we were just talking about, I was just saying, you know, about how we can make changes like in our environment, but also the support network and the people that we have around us are so vitally important to how we move through life. If you've got cheerleaders and supporters on your side, I feel like we move more towards what we want to create, and we have an environment of wanting to grow and change. But when we have people in our lives that are living their fear and projecting that us onto them, them onto us, then that really changes the way that we can see the world. So who are some of the people that have been influential in who are some of the women that have been influential in you changing the way that the direction that your life has gone when it hasn't been going in a direction that's been like awesome?
Yeah, honestly, it's actually the people that I don't want to be like have actually been some of my driving force, because they've made me go, I don't even want to be like that. They've made me want to be a better person, made me want to be more empathetic towards people, made me want to make Waka Ama an experience that all people can do and be inclusive. I'm very much about inclusive. It doesn't matter your shape, your size, your gender, what have you. I'm about inclusive, including people and giving them the best possible experience. And that's what most of them are wanting, is just to feel that they can do it. And I love it. It's just being able to give all people, I mean, bigger people who think that the perceived image of the sport is you're supposed to look nice and trim and have the abs pop out and be hot and all that, but be able to do more strength-based with these people, to know that they have their strength and how we can put those, how we can transfer those strengths into their paddling, and being able to show them that your size might be big, but we can make you generate lots of power and bring out amazing strength. And just to see the smiles on their faces of, yeah, I got it. Yes, I can. Because we're trying to take away that perceived I can't, or I don't look like it, or this is everything I do wrong. It's like, well, what's everything that you do right? How can we use that to transfer it into paddling? So I do a lot of strength-based stuff, a lot of strength.
Yeah, I love that, sis. Like getting people to look at themselves and not see what they're not great at, but see what they actually are great at.
Yes, exactly that. And there's been a big, huge drive with Sport New Zealand. They are about trying to change the culture of the sport. They are trying to be more about creating the fun and the development aspect of the sport, because they're saying that there's a big drop-off in youth between 13 and 18 in participating in sport, and it's because of the stuff happening on the sideline. It's the verbal stuff that's coming out, it's the aggression. It's become so competitive that the element and the fun and the learning of the sport has started to disappear. So five top sports codes have signed an agreement that they will be a part of that change.
Wow, so that's amazing.
It needs to happen.
That's an exciting development. Yeah, because it's like, I think so often we can forget like what we as an individual bring to the table, whether that's in your sport, in your adventure, or in life, that, you know, we get so busy comparing ourselves to other people, how they look, what their successes are, what they're doing in their life, what they have, what they don't have, and then we compare where our lives are with probably the people that don't actually matter at the end of the day. We compare our lives to those, and then we think we should be somewhere, or we should have something or be somebody, when in actual fact, who we are, what we want in our lives is freaking awesome. It's just that it's different from what other people want, and just because it's different doesn't make it any less important.
It doesn't, and I guess that actually just pointed out a pretty good thing, because one thing I've noticed is, as an athlete, is in a team environment, different people prepare for races differently, mentally, and it's about accepting that. And one thing that kind of, I think where I start to feel it in my soul was when I prepare for races, I like to do stuff that makes me happy, and I like to dance and just be in a happy space and watch some funny movies. Some of my teammates didn't want that. They wanted focus and quiet, and they expected that of me. And I have mental health. Telling someone to go silent and focus, a million things go off in my head that it stresses me out. So my way of coping wasn't their way. And it actually started to impact me a little bit in my own sport again. Even at top level, I couldn't understand, why did I have to be this way? I just thought, well, okay. They made it quite hard, but over time, a good 8 years later, even though I had won world and national titles, I had to step away and really take a bird eye view again and go, there's something not right. I'm losing who I am as a person. And then that was it. I'd let people dictate it the way it should be. And this is going back to what happened when I moved from overseas to New Zealand. It was happening to me in my sport. You should be this way and you should be that way. I said, but people are different. So I had to bring myself back to that place of how I cope with things, know that it's okay. So when I run a lot of workshops, I say that to coaches. You might have your certain way that you want people to do stuff, but right when it comes to the niggly fine tuning of getting ready for that race or that game, if someone thing is to listen to that music or to be happy, that's okay. If it's someone thing to sit in a corner and zone out, that's okay. Every person is different. Everyone has different ways of coping. To push away on somebody at that level is a bit, you got to be careful, eh? So just my, it's about, if you want the best out of your teammate, let them do what helps them to succeed. If it's to have 4 pieces of cold pizza right before that race because that works, and it works for me, KT pie. If it's to have that porridge before a race for that person, KT pie, it's good. It's that person knows what's best for them and they want to be at their best for their team. So we need to let them do what they can do to be at their best.
That's freaking amazing advice. Like, in terms of just giving yourself permission, like, I hear for me, like giving yourself permission to be able to do what works for you, do the thing that fills you up and gets you going. Like, everyone has a different slipstream to get into gear for whatever they need to do, whether that's getting up in the day and going and, living their best life for a day. Not everybody likes a 5:30 start, get up, go to the gym, go and work out, go and eat breakfast, or, there's so many ways that we can do life that life is not a cookie cutter. Life's not a cookie cutter. Life's not like this one way. Sure, there's ways you can, have more and be more and do more, like all that sort of stuff. There's definitely that in life. And there's shortcuts and hacks, but you just have to take from them what works for you and apply them to your life. So it's like, there's so much, if we're just looking at, it's funny what pops up is like, like nutrition and stuff like that. There's lots of research to say that intermittent fasting is really good. So you don't eat breakfast, you eat your meals between 8 hours and you let your body fast for longer. And then there's so much research to back, have 6 meals a day, breakfast is the most important to start your metabolism. So it's like, there is no right or wrong in amongst all of how you do your world, as long as it's not impacting negatively on other people, as in you're not, you know what I mean by that. But there's so many ways that we can do our life. If you're a night person and you go to the gym at night, cool. If you, whatever, I don't know. There's just, we can get caught up in a world of comparison and cookie cutter, and I just say, fuck that.
Yeah, and we're learning, and it's evolving. It is evolving. There are standard guidelines, like understanding eating every 4 hours as an example of nutrition, but it's remembering people have food allergies and people at top level know what food works for them. It's just that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Quiet now.
That's okay. So I'd love, you know, for anyone who's watching this, like, what have been some of your biggest successes in your paddling career for the 20 years? What are the key successes that you go, yeah, that was awesome?
I guess for me it was winning the world title back in 2012, but most recently, can you share please? Most recently has been 5.5 months pregnant with Tipu and going to the world and competing at elite level. Baby and I made the finals in the single person waka, so we made the top 8 in the world at 5.5 months pregnant.
Wow.
He then went off to win 4 silver medals in team events. That was for the Sprint World Championships in Tahiti. And then after that was what they call the World Rudderless Races, which is an ocean race on those waka with no rudder, and it's skilled ocean racing. So Baby and I came in the top 10, and we got second in the Masters, made podium. So that was really rewarding. And I guess it's rewarding because I would always talk to her and ask her for permission if it was okay to do certain races. She would let me know what was comfortable and what wasn't comfortable. We even would travel to Auckland to see specialists, and I done a lot of research behind elite athletes performing while they were pregnant. I even saw this picture of a lady doing a marathon at 8.5 months pregnant, but I didn't go to that extent. But I did a lot of research. I didn't just chuck myself in there and go, yeah, I'm pregnant, so what, I can handle it. But I've definitely set the benchmark of what women are capable of at sport, in our sport in particular. Sure, I had a lot of people questioning what I was doing, but I think at the end of the day, you're a mum. You know, you've got to trust your gut feeling, and it's having those conversations with yourself and with your baby just to keep you safe. And I also had to be aware that I was over 40, so that's higher risk. I was a smoker previously, higher risk. An Awira, he arrived early, higher risk. He was a small baby, higher risk. So I had a lot of factors, but I never once went, oh, well, I'll just get over it. I didn't. I kept very strict with things, and I was really fortunate to be managing Jet's fitness. So I was able to keep doing training and keep that strength there. She is a good sized baby, and she is so freaking strong. So that has probably been the most rewarding thing in the sport. And then to plunge in and build it as a business would be the third thing. So winning the world title, racing while I was pregnant with her, and we are, what's the date today?
It's the 25th.
It's officially 1 year since I started the business. Yay!
Yay! Oh my gosh. So first off, congratulations. Like, I am incredibly proud. Like, it's, you know, it's an interesting conversation because you know, most people I know some of their journey, but not all of it. But of course, you know, we're sisters, so it's like I know your whole journey. So for anyone who's watching this, you know, Vesna launched her business 12 months ago, officially today. And if anyone who's starting a business, they know that it is, oh, you're doing push-ups, Raweda.
He's waiting for me, yeah. So anyone who's watching, sorry.
I
can do one hand.
You can do push-ups with one hand?
Yeah.
Oh, ka pai.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyone who starts a business, that in itself is a freaking adventure. Like, you know, the roller coaster you go on. So congratulations on 1 entire year. I'm so excited that we get to interview you today then on that day. So for anyone watching, what is it how did you start what drove you to start your business, and what do you do for people?
Say that again. What?
What made you start your business, and what do you do for people?
Well, I wanted to always give back to a sport that has helped me, and I wanted people to be able to have the opportunity to learn to paddle smarter, quicker, rather than take the 15 years that I took to get where I got to. I wish that I'd had resources and tools to be able to learn more effectively smart paddling, because at the moment we're just chucked in the waka and told, yeah, go. And there's so many mixed messages, and also realising that people weren't getting the potential out of their strength, and I wanted to do that more. And I thought, well, having a baby, I'm going to have a whole year off, I'll give it a crack. Why not? And so it started just prior to me taking maternity leave, and you in New Zealand you get up to about 5.5 months maternity paid parental leave, but then you get nothing. So I put little goals for myself in the business to go, okay, by the time I stop getting my paid parental leave, I need to get this much. Okay, by the time I'm due to start back at work on the 1st of November, I need to be generating this much. So I was able to plan it, and it would not have been possible without the amazing support of my partner, John. It would have been a lot harder to do it on my own. I'm really, really grateful for him to be able to do what I can do. Honestly, without him, it would be a struggle. And yeah, I owe it so much to him, and my goal still is to get it to a point where he does not have to work anymore, even though he sounds like he's actually really enjoying his job, but be able to give him the freedom to make that choice is what I really do want to do out of the business.
That's amazing. So what do you help people with in your business?
I say, yeah, no, I forgot that thing. I do a lot of online coaching. I do workshops. I kind of tried to start out just doing workshops. Online coaching for the business, but then realised that there was more of a need of me physically going to places and running workshops. So now I run workshops, and that's individually or with team. It can be specific to something that they want to work on. I also do theory-based classroom workshops on particular things, whether it's sprints, nutrition, whatever they would like. I also have online coaching. I also have memberships where people can sign up to be a member and receive program, paddling tips, daily motivation, a really supportive community. Because one thing I've done since day one is every day I put a motivational quote up, and that's because I wanted to be a part of creating a positive change in our sport, because I love my sport, but comes with it are some things that I've experienced that I didn't want to see anyone else experience. So putting that daily motivation up has been really awesome. The amount of positive feedback I get from people who just say that it really lifts them. I got 2 really awesome, nice compliments yesterday, and I do focus on coaching Waka Ama, but if I can give others hope, that's what I do as well. And what did I put up? So a quote I put up yesterday was, remember, people judge you on how you judge yourself. And I actually put photos of me, of my life experiences, either in paddling or as a family person, as a brother, as a sister. I've kind of made sure more now with my motivational stuff that I keep it real. I've even stuck pictures up of me with my hair all over the place, crazy. I've taken pictures of me in my dressing gown and looking like crap in the morning, and shared that with people just to show that I'm real. And even though I'm successful in what I've done in my sport, I'm still real at the end of the day. I still have to get up, brush my teeth, go collect the mail, all of that sort of stuff. So just trying to create a real positive culture in the sport, and as a human being, not to be ashamed and to hide your past. Be proud of your family, be proud of your community, be proud of your kids, be proud of who you are. Be true and be real. Don't hide, don't be fake, just be real. Be proud of who you are. Yeah.
That's amazing. Absolutely. I 100% agree. It's so interesting, like with that conversation, that it's like, the world of Facebook and social media can really create a potential illusion, and that kind of goes back to us getting caught in this world of comparison and things like that, and your sport and your adventures and all of that, like the life that we think we should live, because we can often buy into the highlight reels that are on social media. So I love the fact that you're showing like the all of what goes on in your life, because I think people sometimes forget that in order to succeed at whatever you do, and remember, success is what you define success as, is that in order to succeed, you actually have to get into the nitty gritty and the grind of things. And people miss that. They go, I want this thing over here. Like, I want to go climb this. I want to go do this walk. I want to go do the root burn walk, and it's 3 days and it'll be beautiful and I'll get those photos. And then it's like they forget that there is going to be a process to train for that. And then to get to the top of the mountain, like it's going to suck some of the way. Like, that's the reality of life, of going for things, of putting yourself out there, that it's going to suck some of the time, but it's what you do in that sucky time to pull you through. So for you, what would be some advice that you would give to the women that are watching this, that in those sucky, hard, gritty moments when you're going for a goal, whether it's in your sport, for adventure, or for life, like, what are some of the tips you would give to them to help pull them through that stuff?
It's having a goal, having a purpose, having a vision. What's your why? So every workshop that I run and membership, that I always say, what's your why? Because you want to know, what are you getting up in the morning to do what you do? It's just really important to have a goal, whether it's being, I want to be able to run with my baby and have energy to play with her. So every time you're getting up in the morning and you're going to the gym and you're like, oh, really? You've got to have that thing in the back of your mind. You've got to have that absolute desire, that instinct in here, that do or die, I'll do whatever it takes. You've got to really want it from deep in here. You can say you want it from here, and you can say you want it from here training, but it's this. You've got to want it from deep in here, the absolute must. Find that inner and you will succeed. And I say that from even an ex-smoker background. I thought I wanted it. I was trying to stop it, but I didn't really want it from here. When I really wanted to give up smoking from in here, it went. So anything you want, whether you want that job, whether you want that promotion, whether you want that house, that partner, that success in your sport, you've got to really want it from in here. This is the most deeper in desire. It's like your intuition, your survival instinct. You will do whatever it takes every morning and to kick in your survival instinct to do that thing that's going to get you one step closer to your goal, that dream job, that dream house, that relationship. It's going to take work. But when this wants it here, you'll do whatever it takes and enjoy the journey, because before you know, you've reached it and you'll go, how the hell did that just happen? Make sure you enjoy and celebrate the milestones of your achievement.
That is beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love that description when you say you have to want it from here, because I think if we all honestly look at the things that we say we want to go for, that we go, oh, I want this thing, but there's not that heart commitment, that real, like, when you've decided in here. Otherwise it's just talk. Oh, I want to go do this walk. I want to go da-da-da. When you decide in here, it's a not negotiable. It's just, it's already in your mind on some way. It's already happened, and you're just figuring out how to do that. And I think if we all tune in, we actually know whether we've decided in here or whether we're just talking from here. And as we call it, you're just giving it go old lip service. So to wrap up this conversation, which I've just freaking loved, sis. Every time we talk, I learn new things about you, and I mean, we're sisters and we talk once a week, so I get to hear a lot of stuff that goes on, but in here I've learned so much more about you, and I think just that last bit there about wanting it from the heart has probably been the biggest thing that has really stuck with me through this conversation. But if there was one message that you have for women who want to have more fun and more adventure in their life, but they're afraid of taking that step, what would be that one piece of advice that you would give to them?
It's my life goal. It's one that a lot of people have heard before. It's just called, just live a little, a lot. Just live a little, a lot. That's my life goal.
Perfect. That's amazing. Vesna, thank you so much for sharing your journey, for going deep into something that obviously touched, touched a point that brought you full circle to the realization that, you're actually doing some amazing things in Waka Ama, in the Waka Ama world. You're making such a massive impact in that space, and that sort of stuff, and just being able to get on the call, for sharing some amazing advice about if you're wanting to go for something, about making that decision within here. So thank you for all that you do, not just in the Waka Ama world, but just for being a part of my life so consistently. I'm super proud and so honoured that we're sisters. And look at that face! How cute is she?
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to share. I'm just stoked to be a part of a lineup with all these other amazing wahine, these women out there. It's just really awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. All right, sis, you go about getting your motherhood and your business, and congratulations on your 1 year in your business.
So much. Thank you.
You're totally welcome. Love you lots.
Ka kite.
Bye. Bye, Tipu.
Bye.
Bye.